Meghan Markle getting prepared to kick Prince Harry to the curb because they have announced a couple of new Netflix projects, but it's very clear where the focus is. It's on Meghan. Every story leads with Meghan. It leads with Meghan's picture on Variety and Deadline. And I look at this whole thing and I think, is she really getting ready to just completely dump him after all this time? As she finally realized the drain he is on their brand, even though she is equally, if not even more so, part of their sort of disastrous efforts there in Hollywood. But it's clear to me, I think, that in terms of what Hollywood is looking at, Meghan is telling them, I'm the real star. I should be the real focus. Prince Harry, yes, he's doing these things over there, but I'm the one who's going to change things because she is the producer on both of their projects, but he's only the producer on one. I thought they did everything together. I thought they were like salt and pepper, but no, the truth is that I've said actually many times now that everything is all about Meghan. And I think Meghan, to a certain extent, you could say, has realized that maybe Prince Harry was not the big catch that she thought he was. And in fact, she's realizing, although it should have been very, very evident when they first got together, that he's really not that much of help when it comes to their Hollywood careers. So we are going to discuss this today because I find this absolutely fascinating because I'd always thought, again, I only ever gave them 5 years of their marriage just because I didn't think they had anything in common. But as they start this new venture, it's also clear that eventually they won't have anything in common there either. So let's get into it. But if you guys haven't been to Royal News Network before, my name is Brittany. I provide y'all compelling royal commentary about the latest news, sometimes the drama going on behind the scenes. So if you guys want to hit that subscribe button, that would be absolutely fantastic. I'm also in the process of launching something I'm so excited about, which is the Crown Report, which covers royal events going on across Europe. And so I got this episode done, but I did have some weird, like technical glitches with like weird pops coming through the mic. So I will put the episode, I think, in community. I might make it available for everyone, or I might clip out bits and then put them on elsewhere. But I'm really, really excited about it because I love covering other royal news, not just Harry and Meghan, because that is actually a really, really big passion of mine is all royal news. And we have some really exciting things coming up. We have a state visit between the Netherlands and Spain. We also have a state visit coming up between Sweden and Finland. So lots of exciting things. So if you guys are interested in that, I will put a link in the community tab. I don't know if I'll make it available for everyone. I'll get your guys' thoughts first. If you want to check that out, feel free to do so. And I also have a deal with Anna Lucia Diamonds. And I'm actually wearing a special necklace that my mom got me that has R and N on it for Royal News Network. But I have these lovely stud earrings, which I am absolutely obsessed with. And I wear them all the time. Every day. I need to switch them out more, but I love them so much. If you guys are interested in checking out any of that, there will be a link down below. And if you use code ROYAL20, you will save 20%. And I'll also put a link up above here if you are interested. Okay, guys, so on to this story. It broke sort of later today, and I was in the process of editing the Crown Report, which is sort of a longer podcast. So I didn't get to this as early. I was just reading through and seeing the imagery that Meghan Markle was putting out there. Because when it comes to Hollywood, when it comes to Meghan, she's all about image. You will notice this about her. She is obsessed with her image, obsessed with her narrative. And so when it came to announcing these new projects, Meghan Markle was entirely front and center. Harry, you could argue, is almost an afterthought. It's as if she could care less about what he is doing within these projects. And I was originally going to title this episode Dull, Boring, and Predictable because that's what I think their two offerings are. They sound dull, they sound boring, and they sound very, very predictable and not all that interesting. And they have yet to prove that they can do a decent documentary. That I think these will be massive flops. And I doubt this is really what Netflix is looking for. And all they've announced these projects and they've got all these producing partners lined up, they're still not even technically in production. They're not even filming these things yet. They're in still early stages of production, which again, when it comes to Meghan Markle's brand, American Riviera Orchard, which you launched, I believe, 4 weeks ago today, is an epic train wreck because she should have things ready and raring to go for American Riviera Orchard. She is so bungled that it just absolutely boggles my mind. So here, let's go ahead and get into this Dateline article because I think this is just so key to understand. And so let's look at right here. And so you'll notice first thing, Meghan's listed first. Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, and Prince Harry. Why can it be Meghan and Harry? Why didn't it be Prince Harry and Meghan Markle? No, no, no. It must be Meghan, the with a capital T, Duchess of Sussex, and Prince Harry, launching two nonfiction series at Netflix featuring cooking, gardening, and professional polo. I can tell you right now, all those sound utterly and completely dull to me. I don't care about professional polo. It is a niche elitist sport. I don't really even particularly like sports that involve necessarily horses because oftentimes, especially like horse racing, I don't particularly like because I think it's too hard on the horses. I am not really a big fan of polo for sort of those same reasons. And Harry has sort of a bad reputation with polo. He's been very aggressive with some of his ponies there. But Meghan Markle cooking and gardening, I mean, like, what could she offer that we probably all don't already know? And I think the big question too is when it comes to Megan is she going to film this in her home or is she going to film this in a studio? Because I think Megan, if she was being smart, she would film this in her home. But I don't think she's that smart. And because even in their silly Netflix series, they filmed their sit down interviews in a house that was worth twice as much as theirs was. I'm like, why aren't you filming in your own stinking home? You were doing that for the rest of the documentary. Doesn't make any sense. So I think Megan, if she's really being honest, needs to bring people in. But again, just looking at utterly the image that this brand is putting out there right now, that Harry and Meghan are putting out there right now, it's Meghan. We also see this reflected in this Variety Twitter account, which is like so crazy to me how bad this is in terms of reporting. But this is probably what they were given by WME, which says Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, has two new unscripted series at Netflix. The first will celebrate the joys of cooking, gardening, entertaining, and friendship. Meghan Markle, at least, definitely doesn't know a lot about friendship. Per the official description, the second will be shot at the US Open Polo Championship. But Harry's producing that one. That one is Harry's. But no, this is about Meghan. Harry, if you are not freaking out right now, you really, 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 really should be. Yes, I know you're not the smartest guy in the world, but this imagery, all that's going on is very, very bad for you. It's just very, very bad. If she continues to separate the businesses, like Harry has nothing. Like, what does Harry have? Like, he might still have some of his inheritance left, maybe not so much, but we shall see. So let's go back again to the Deadline article. And it says Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, and Prince Harry, not the Duke of Sussex, are cooking up two new projects with Netflix. Deadline can reveal the pair have two non-scripted projects in production at the streamer. They form part of an overall deal that her and her husband, Harry, the Duke of Sussex. Okay, Variety, Deadline, and Hollywood Reporter, I guess, are all sort of owned by the same people. You really don't need to kiss their butts this much. You really don't need to kiss their butts this much. They can barely like put a brand together. I mean, they are some of the most pathetic people in the entertainment industry by far. The first series will see the Duchess, otherwise known as Meghan Markle, which is still legally her name, celebrate the joys of cooking, gardening, entertaining, and friendship. Okay, Meghan Markle, maybe she likes cooking, maybe she likes gardening, maybe she likes entertaining, except for her in-laws. She hates all her in-laws and even her own family. So who does she entertain? Her friends who are sycophantic and love her. Because they are all sycophantic and love each other. If that makes sense. Again, Meghan Markle's friendship seems to all be based around people who are as obsessed with fame and fortune as she is. She can't really have friendships, I would say, with more normal people. Like, they see through the BS. All the monarchies saw through Meghan's BS. They were not impressed by her in the slightest, really. And when it comes to friendships, she drops people like a hot potato when they're no longer useful. She couldn't even develop a relationship or a friendship with Catherine, the Princess of Wales, because, oh my gosh, Meghan found out at some point, it suddenly dawned on her that she could not be queen. So, yeah, it will be produced by Sony Pictures Television, the intellectual property corporation, which is behind the series, including Hulu's D'Amelio show, A&E's Leah Remini, Scientology, and The Aftermath. And Selena and chefs Leah Harrington will serve as a showrunner with Michael Steed, who has helmed episodes of My Next Guest Needs No Introduction and Anthony Bourdain's Parts Unknown directing. Okay, so these are critical things here. What this tells me is that in order to get this thing through to completion, Netflix is like, you need to have other people producing it. You cannot do this on your own. You need to have like actual competent people behind you. Harry and Meghan have The controls have been taken away from them by Netflix. Netflix, I think, is telling them, if you want to continue with this deal, we will continue to indulge you for a little bit longer, but control has to reside with us because you guys can't do it well. And so you see control being taken away from them, I think, in this instance, which it should be. They're not particularly competent in any of this. And Megan's big challenge throughout all this will be being authentic because in order to show cooking, entertaining, gardening, and friendship, she'll have to all of those things in authentic ways. And Meghan Markle is so contrived because she's just a massively, massively, massively insecure person. She's wildly insecure. And because of that, she has to mask everything in this fake veneer that is overly produced. And it never comes off as natural. If you listen to her podcast, it's like sort of nails on a chalkboard. She just can't be natural, and it's so stinking scripted. So we will see a lot of this here in this as well. And so it also says Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. You could just call her Meghan Markle. Deadline, stop kissing her behind. Seriously. She can hardly do anything to you. Hardly anybody in Hollywood wants to have a relationship with her right now. So you don't need to kiss her behind. And Chanel will executive produce for Archwell Productions alongside Aaron Seidman and Ellie Hotzman for IPC. Again, all this stuff means that some of the control is trying to be wrestled away from Harry and Meghan because they can't really control it because they're really, really bad. They need other competent producers around them. So Netflix, I think, is saying, okay, we'll do this, but you need to have production partners and they need to have a big say in all this. But the worrying thing always is that Meghan just loves to flaunt this Duchess of Sussex title, which means she'll try to push people in ways where they'll say, hey, maybe it's not a good idea to launch American Riviera Orchard without a stinking plan, without a television show, without any stinking products. That would probably be a really bad idea. And she was like, no, let's go ahead and launch it. Big, big mistake. And so it says it comes after Meghan launched her new business venture, American Riviera Orchard, which she has done diddly squat with, except for file endless trademarks with 0 products, 0 future, 0 teasers, like nothing. And so it says the second series will follow the world of professional polo because guess what the world is aching for, guys? Professional polo. We all want to know what professional polo is like. Shot primarily at the U.S. Open Polo Championships in Wellington, Florida, the U.S. PA National Polo Center. The series will explore the world of the sport, which is very elitist, and nobody knows really or cares. Like, I would like to go to a polo game, but it's more just to go to a polo game, not because I really care. Just because it's kind of a thing Brits do, which is known primarily for its aesthetic and social scene. It will pull back the curtain because, we were all clamoring for that. On the grit and passion of the sport, capturing players and all it takes to compete at the highest level of a very, very small niche sport. Prince Harry's been known as a keen polo player and is often photographed playing internationally. Barely. He got to play in Santa Barbara because Meghan Markle could do her little fashion show and look and feel important. The series will be produced by Boardwalk Pictures, the production company behind series such as Netflix's Chef's Table, Pepsi, Where's My Jet, and Sex, Love, and Goop. Again, you see here control being wrestled away from Harry and Meghan. Milos Blanc, who has worked for FX's hits docuseries Welcome to Wexham, will serve as showrunner. Again, so Harry and Meghan taken out of control in a lot of ways here. Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, will executive produce alongside Pinsk for Archwell Productions with Andrew Fried, Serena Roma, and Diane Lindengard executive producing for Boardwalk Pictures. Blanc and Ian Samplin also executive producing. Both untitled shows are in early stages of production. So that means they are not filming. They have not started filming these shows. So they could be still put on the back burner, though I will say with all the people they've managed to gather, it looks like it's going forwards. I will say it was because Netflix told them, you can't do this on your own. You guys suck at this. You need to get competent people around you or else we won't greenlight anything. I think that was the directive they were given. And so they were told, hey, these are some of the people you can meet up with, but those are it. It's the pair's latest projects at Netflix. The Harry and Meghan docuseries, their only one that was mildly successful, from the couple launched in December 2022 with 6 episodes. They also did Live to Lead, which nobody watched and nobody gave a darn about. An interview series featuring the likes of Greta Thunberg and Gloria Steinem and Harry's Heart of Invictus documentary series launched last year and was also a bit of a dud. So we might finally get, think we might finally get sort of the numbers for Netflix probably somewhere around June, maybe May, for what the last half of 2023 looked like. And then we can get a better indicator of how Heart of Invictus performed. But I don't think it performed necessarily very well. It definitely did make it into the top 10. It says Netflix content chief Abela Bajaria recently said they have a bunch of projects in development, including a movie and scripted series, which I'm sure Netflix would much rather have these two things, because those two things are generally much more successful and rewatchable than documentaries. Bajaria didn't disclose what, if any, of these projects were, but last year, the duo who run Archwell Productions acquired the screen rights to Carly Fortune's Meet Me at the Lake novel to turn into a movie, which Netflix owns the rights to. So Netflix purchased the rights for them, so ergo Netflix controls them. It tells the story of a couple who meet in their 30s and deals with themes of childhood trauma, including losing a parent in a car crash. Oh my gosh, big stretch for them, right? Mental health challenges and postnatal depression. All this comes after Deadline revealed in February Meghan had signed a new podcast deal with Lemonada Media, the company behind Wiser Than Me with Julie Louis-Dreyfus. The move will see her launch a new podcast series, and Lemonada will also distribute her previous podcast series, Archwell, to all podcast platforms, which it has done. And it did okay. It was on there for a hot second, and sort of nobody cared. It did go up to number 2, but obviously it dropped to nothing because there's no new content. And wouldn't you know it, there's no timeline for content either. But here's the thing. What are the big things we have so far for 2024? They're all Meghan projects. They're all Meghan projects. Meghan is an executive producer on Harry's Polo show, but he is not an executive producer on her show. Like, Harry, I thought you guys were like salt and pepper. I thought you guys did everything together. Why does she get to be involved in your project and yet you can't be involved in her project? Because you know a lot more about polo than she does. But it tells you something. And even just again, how they presented it via Variety, that Meghan Markle is producing these. Meghan Markle sets lifestyle series and polo championship series at Netflix, even though they're in very early stages of production and no filming has been done yet. But it's Meghan Markle doing it, not Prince Harry. Not Prince Harry. You just get the sense as time goes on that she is looking forward in a life without him. And she does not, you could argue, trust him to be a part of these projects because this is not his thing, which she should have known and he should have known when they initiated Mexit and just did these rash deals out of nowhere. I mean, they told us, well, we had to do these because we couldn't do anything else. We had to do these right now because what else were we going to do? Well, you could have not initiated Mexit. That would have been a good idea. But the other problem that they've had is that they've really, really drug their feet. And because of that, the money is starting to dry up. Yes, Netflix is the most successful out of all the production houses, but they are also probably tightening their belts a little bit. And these two series, you could say, obviously, as well, would be cheaper to produce than a scripted series. So, scripted series generally, depending on especially just even special effects, hiring actors, so many other things, are going to be a lot more expensive to produce than something like Meghan's gardening show and Harry's polo show. The Harry's polo show, if it only really films during polo or something, much, much cheaper. Much, much cheaper. You could also just generally say that Netflix is only greenlighting their cheap projects. Netflix is only greenlighting those. They're not greenlighting yet, you could say, the scripted series. Why? Because they can't trust them with the scripted series yet, and they don't really want to waste the money. Again, Hollywood has so many things going on. There might be another strike coming up in the future. This one, I think, is related to, it's one of the Teamsters or something. I think they do maybe set design or something. Like, they're a big portion of the industry. And then you also have the reality of the strikes that happened last year, sort of downsizing everything. And then Hollywood as well just hasn't been able to produce many good series. And so people are going elsewhere. They're going to YouTube because content can be produced here really quickly all the time. I mean, just think about it. Meghan Markle could have put a cooking series on YouTube without having to share any money with Netflix. And maybe it might have been super popular. But Meghan Markle, you can really just tell, even though she's leading these charges, she's really 12 steps behind. Meghan very much, it feels like she is living in the early 2010s. She's very behind the curve on what is successful within the social media space. I don't know where American Riviera Orchard sits right now, but launching something and sitting on it for 4 plus weeks with nothing was stupid. It was just stupid. There's just no getting away around it because the news media moves so fast. Yes, you'll get more people as you start to launch things, but I think it'll also go down in history as one of the most disastrous marketing brand launches ever because you don't launch a brand with nothing behind it. Like, this should not be hard, and yes, you're filing all these trademarks, but that means diddly squat when you have no products. But Megan just doesn't seem to think that way, and Harry, I think, is I've said this multiple times, is just beyond clueless with all this. He went on Better Up, I guess, earlier today or earlier this week or something for one of their conferences, which people in person had to pay $1,600 for, and it wasn't even clear if Harry was gonna be there. I don't even know why somebody would spend $1,600 on a ticket to a Better Up event, but apparently it did sell out. Maybe people were hoping Harry would be there, and he was, to talk about burnout at the C level. The guy doesn't even have a real job. He has no job. He's not a C-level executive making decisions that have multi-billion-dollar implications, maybe even upwards of trillions. He's not Tim Cook. He's not Bob Iger. He's not Elon Musk. He is none of those. The guy doesn't even know what burnout is, except for burning out on his own delusions and freaking out as things continue to go wrong. But I think Harry should be worried. Meghan is clearly moving on without him. She's sort of kicking him to the curb, going, well, we're going to focus on my projects. We're going to focus on my future because I think she thinks that's maybe where the money is. But even still, Harry remains a lot more popular than she does. And so I just don't know if Harry really sees the writing on the wall here, which is that Meghan is sort of moving on. At least professionally, she is definitely moving on from him, but he will be required to always sit there in the audience and cheer her on. But she will never reciprocate for him. She will never do the same for him, except for in the Invictus Games when she can get a little bit of attention out of it. So none of this is a surprise, but I think Harry will generally be surprised at some point when Meghan finally drops those divorce papers and he's sitting there wondering what the heck happened, even though the writing was on the wall the entire time. And basically, the entire world will tell Prince Harry, we told you so. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I shall see you very, very soon. Bye.